Hello everyone. Welcome to my new channel. On this channel, you will get all the latest and exclusive videos related to 90 Day Fiancé. If you love drama, real love stories, shocking twists, and emotional moments, then you are in the right place. For years, fans of TLC's hit show, 90 Day Fiancé believed they had seen it all. Long-distance love, culture clashes, and impossible family drama. But nothing could prepare the world for what was about to unfold in the real-life marriage of Jenny Slatten and Sumit Singh would spiral into a shocking scandal involving secret debts, religious pressure, betrayal, and heartbreak. Tonight we uncover the hidden truth behind Sumit Singh's gambling addiction, his $300,000 downfall. Sumit Singh kept pressuring his wife Jenny Slatten to convert to Hinduism. Not only that, he kept pressuring Jenny Slatten to pay off his secret $300,000 debt. As Sumit Singh failed to repay the debt, a lawsuit was filed against him and he was subsequently arrested. According to the court's verdict, Sumit Singh has been sentenced to 5 months in prison. With this truth exposed, the situation turned even more tragic. Under constant mental pressure and facing numerous problems, Jenny Slatten eventually had no choice but to divorce Sumit Singh. Lastly, Jenny Slatten divorced his husband, Sumit Singh. Later, to start a new life, she decided to marry a man named Michael. The heartbreaking divorce that forced Jenny Slatten to rebuild her life from the ashes. This is not the fairy tale ending fans had hoped for. This is the tragic unraveling of Jenny and Sumit's love story. And it ends with a twist no one saw coming. When Jenny Slatten, a woman from Palm Springs, California, first met Sumit Singh, a young man from India, fans immediately noticed the glaring differences. Jenny was in her 60s, Sumit in his early 30s. They came from different worlds, different religions, and different generations. Yet, love has a strange way of ignoring the rules. Their story on 90 Day Fiancé was one of struggle and persistence. Sumit's family rejected Jenny at first, horrified by the age gap. His parents even threatened to disown him, but Jenny stayed in India, refusing to give up. After years of arguments, lies, and even the shocking revelation that Sumit had once been married in secret, Jenny finally got what she had waited for, marriage. To fans, it seemed like their love had conquered everything. But behind closed doors, Sumit Singh was hiding a secret, one that would destroy everything Jenny had fought for. It began innocently. Online poker games, sports betting apps, and late-night gambling sessions. First, Jenny thought Sumit was simply relaxing. But in reality, Sumit Singh was spiraling into a dangerous addiction that would cost him nearly everything. Jenny, Sumit, it's 3 a.m. Why are you still on your phone? Sumit. Nothing, Jenny. Just talking to friends. But it wasn't friends. Was gambling apps. Over the course of 2 years, Sumit accumulated staggering losses, borrowing money from lenders and online loan sharks. By the time Jenny discovered the truth, the damage had already been done, nearly $300,000 in debt. And as the debt mounted, Sumit turned to the one person he thought could save him, Jenny. But what he asked of her would shake their marriage to its core. As Sumit's gambling addiction spiraled out of control, his debt grew heavier with each passing day. Collectors began calling threatening legal action. In his desperation, Sumit turned toward Jenny not only as his wife, but as his financial escape. Sumit. Jenny, I need you to help me. I can't handle this debt alone. If you really love me, you'll stand by me. Jenny, what debt? Sumit, what are you talking about, Sumit? Oh, some money. But it's nothing serious. Just a few loans. Maybe $20,000. The truth was far darker. It wasn't $20,000. It was $300,000. And Sumit was willing to use every weapon at his disposal, even Jenny's faith, to force her into compliance. Sumit began pushing Jenny to convert to Hinduism not out of spiritual conviction but as leverage. He argued that as Hindu wife her duty was to stand by her husband no matter the cost. Sumit, Jenny, if you become Hindu you will understand a wife's role is to support her husband in hard times. It's the Dharma. It's the right thing to do. Jenny, I came here for love, Sumit, not for religion, not for money. Why are you putting this on me? Jenny felt trapped. She had sacrificed everything to be with Sumit. Her home in California, her family, her financial stability. And now the man she had fought for was asking her to shoulder his crushing debt and abandon her own beliefs. But Jenny refused. The woman who had once endured Sumit's lies, family rejections, and betrayal had finally drawn a line. She would not pay his debts. She would not change her faith under pressure. And that decision would ignite a storm neither of them could escape. For months, Sumit Singh lived a double life. Charming husband on the outside, desperate gambler on the inside. But secrets have a way of clawing their way into the light. And when the lenders he owed could wait no longer, the truth finally exploded into public view. Jenny Say notice of lawsuit outstanding debt $300,000. Jenny Sumit, what is this? Tell me this isn't real. Sumit. Jenny, was going to tell you. Swear just needed more time. It was too late. The lawsuit was real. The numbers undeniable. Sulate had gambled away their future and now the law was at his doorstep. Within weeks, creditors pressed charges with mountains of evidence, bank statements, app logs, digital transfers. There was no escape. Sumit Singh, the man who once promised eternal love, was arrested on charges of fraud and unpaid gambling debts. Police officer says, Sumit Singh, you are under arrest for failure to repay debts and violation of financial agreements. You have the right to remain silent. Jenny says, how did it come to this? After everything we fought for, the trial was swift. In the courtroom, Seat's defense crumbled. The judge ruled against him, declaring his reckless gambling a violation of multiple financial laws. The verdict: 5 months in prison. For Jenny, the world she had built in India collapsed overnight. The man she defied her family for, the man she left her home country for, was now in prison, not for love, but for lies. Jenny Slatten had endured more than most could imagine. From leaving her comfortable life in California to facing Sumit's lies, his secret marriage, and his family's constant disapproval, she had always chosen love. But now sitting alone in a quiet apartment in India while her husband served a prison sentence, Jenny faced a truth she could no longer deny. Love was not enough. Hey everyone. Welcome back to HTV. Tonight we need to talk about the wildest Jenny and Sumit story that's been circulating online. You've probably seen the headline screaming divorced, arrested, $300,000 gambling debt, and even claims that Jenny already married someone new. It sounds like a full-blown true crime twist. But here's the thing, a lot of what's being pushed around right now looks like rumor content, not confirmed reporting. So in this video, we're doing it the right way. We'll break down what the internet is claiming, what reputable outlets have actually said, what we know from the show, and what's still unverified as of February 19, 2026. And trust me, even without the fake shock claims, their real situation is already tense enough. First, let's set the record straight on the biggest question. Are Jenny Slatten and Sumit Singh officially divorced right now? Multiple entertainment outlets that have recently covered them say they are still together as of early February 2026, and the current storyline is heavily focused on them living with Sumit's parents and Jenny feeling like she's lost her independence. That doesn't mean their relationship is perfect. It doesn't mean they won't split later. It just means the very specific claims being shouted online, like court divorce is official or Sumit sentenced to prison, are not backed up by credible reporting in the sources I can see right now. Now, let's talk about the rumor package that's spreading, because you might be wondering, where is all this coming from? A lot of it is being amplified through YouTube videos and Facebook posts that use intense wording like official, confirmed, FBI proof, and arrested, but they don't provide verifiable documentation like court records, legitimate news coverage, or official statement from Jenny or Sumit. You can find videos making those claims, but the existence of a viral video is not proof the claims are true. So for this script, I'm not going to present unverified allegations as facts, because that can hurt real people and it also destroys your channel credibility. Instead, we'll handle it like a smart breakdown. This is what's being claimed, this is what's confirmed, and this is what's likely being exaggerated. With that said, here's why this rumor blew up so fast. Jenny and Sumit are the perfect couple for dramatic headlines, because their real story already had so many twists. They met online, there was the catfishing, the family pressure, the secret marriage history, the constant question of whether they would actually make it. Even reputable coverage still highlights that their day-to-day struggles are intense, especially living with his parents again. That's the real fuel. When a couple already has a volatile storyline, people will believe almost anything about them, especially if the headline sounds like the final nail in the coffin. Now let's walk through the scandal narrative that's being pushed online, the one you sent me, and I'll translate it into a clean, YouTube-ready story format while keeping it clearly labeled as rumor where it needs to be. The rumor claims all of the following. Number 1. Sumit secretly developed a gambling addiction. Number 2. He hid massive losses and built up a debt total around $300,000. Number 3. He pressured Jenny to pay it off. Number 4. He pressured her to convert religions as part of duty and family expectations. Number 5. He got sued, then arrested, then sentenced to 5 months in prison. Number 6. Jenny divorced him because of mental pressure and betrayal. Number 7. Jenny moved on quickly and married a man named Michael. That is the full movie trailer version of the rumor. It's designed to hit every emotional button: money, faith, betrayal, arrest, revenge, fresh romance. It's clickbait gold. But now let's compare that with what's actually being reported by more reputable outlets right now. The current confirmed tension that is repeatedly mentioned is not a prison sentence or gambling charges. It's the living situation and family control issues. Jenny has talked about how hard it is living with Sumit's family and how her independence feels gone, and the dynamic includes being told how to behave, what to wear, and even religious practices in the household. That's important, because it explains why rumor creators grabbed onto the religious pressure angle. There is a real storyline foundation there. Jenny has struggled with pressure inside the home environment, and that's been discussed publicly in interviews around the show. But pressure in a household is not the same thing as forced conversion, and it's definitely not proof of a criminal case. What we can responsibly say is, Jenny has described the living arrangement as difficult, and the show coverage suggests continuing conflict with Sumit's parents about how Jenny should live day to day. Now, for the money piece, rumors love giant numbers because they sound final. $300,000 feels like a life-ending amount. But I'm not seeing credible documentation that Sumit has a $300,000 gambling debt, that Jenny was ordered to pay it, or that there's a real court verdict sending him to prison for 5 months. What I am seeing in reputable entertainment coverage is ongoing discussion about their struggles, and in some cases, talk of life decisions like where they live and how they make money, including business updates. So here's how we're going to build a strong HTV script from this, without crossing the line into stating rumors as facts. We're going to frame it as, a shocking rumor claims X. Here's what's actually known. Here's what fans are reacting to. Here's the real pressure points in Jenny and Sumit's relationship that make these rumors believable to some viewers. That style keeps your channel protected and makes you look professional, not reckless. Alright, let's get into the storytelling. Picture the scene. Jenny is alone in India again, and this time it feels different. Not because the love is gone, but because the freedom is. She's no longer in her own space. She's back under the roof of Sumit's parents, with rules, expectations, and daily judgment hanging in the air. This isn't just in-law drama anymore. It's identity drama. When you're an adult who's raised a family, lived a full life, and made your own choices for decades, being told what to do like a teenager hits a nerve. And Jenny has openly said the lack of independence has been really hard. Now zoom out for a second and remember what Jenny already gave up. She left Palm Springs. She left her familiar world. She stepped into a country and culture where she'd constantly be the outsider. And she did it because she believed this love story was worth it. That's why people got so emotionally invested. Jenny wasn't playing it safe. She went all in. Sumit went all in too, at least on camera, fighting his family for years just to marry her. Their wedding in 2021 felt like a victory lap after years of chaos. That's why the divorce rumors hit so hard, because fans remember the long road. But here's the harsh truth about relationships that are built in survival mode. When you spend years fighting the outside world, you can ignore problems inside the relationship. The war becomes the bond. And once the war slows down, the real issues become louder. That's what makes Jenny and Sumit's current chapter so tense. The external enemy, the parents' refusal, has softened in some ways, but the daily friction is still there. So when the internet throws out a rumor like Sumit's hiding something huge, people don't reject it instantly. They think, well, with them, anything is possible. Now let's build the rumor storyline as an alleged narrative, the kind you can perform in a video while making it clear it's not confirmed. You'd say, online rumors claim Sumit fell into risky habits and financial trouble behind the scenes. Then you let the audience feel the suspense without telling them it's proven. You set up the moments, late nights, phone screens glowing, Jenny asking questions, Sumit brushing it off. Then you pivot to what's real. What is confirmed is they've been under intense stress living with his parents, and Jenny has talked about feeling controlled and unhappy in that environment. That's your anchor. That's the truth you can stand on. And then you ask the audience the question that makes them comment, do you think this pressure could push them toward a breaking point? Now, here's the other thing rumor creators do. They attach a new husband to make the story feel complete. It's the classic formula, heartbreak, then instant replacement romance. The rumor name Michael is the type of detail that makes people go, wait, what? But again, without credible confirmation, you should treat that as fan fiction, not news. Otherwise you risk putting out misinformation that can come back on you. The smarter approach is, some posts even claim Jenny has moved on, but we can't verify that. What we do know is Jenny has talked about wanting her independent life back, and the living arrangement has been extremely difficult. So the real story, the one that is safe and still very dramatic, is this: Jenny is tired. She's tired of living like she has no control. She's tired of being managed. She wants a home that feels like hers. Sumit is stuck in the middle, trying to be a husband and a son, and his parents don't want them to leave. That's a real pressure cooker. And the fear for fans is simple. If Sumit doesn't choose Jenny's peace over his family's control, Jenny might eventually choose herself. That's the heartbreak people can see coming, even without any prison storyline. Now, let's talk about how you should structure your HTV video using this script. You open with the rumor headlines because that's what people clicked for. You say, you've seen the claims: $300,000 debt, arrest, divorce, a new marriage. But what's actually true? Then you slow down and you deliver the reality check with receipts. Recent coverage still describes them as together, and the current conflict is about living with his parents and Jenny losing independence. That instantly makes your channel stand out because you're not just yelling. You're guiding. Then you go into a story recap: how they met, what they survived, what they won, and why the current chapter is the most dangerous. And you end with a strong question: if you had to choose between your spouse and your parents, what would you do? That gets comments, and comments push the video. Before we end part 1, I want to give you a clean, ready-to-read closing segment for this part that tees up part 2 perfectly, without empty lines and without sounding repetitive. Here it is: Jenny didn't come to India for a cage. She came for a life. And right now, the life she imagined feels further away than ever. The internet may be chasing a scandal, but the real drama is quieter and maybe even more painful. A woman who gave up everything is now asking for one thing: freedom. And a man who promised her the world is still struggling to choose her fully. In part 2, we're breaking down the biggest turning points that could decide their future, the signs fans are noticing online, and what Jenny's next move could be if Sumit doesn't finally draw a line with his family. If you want, reply in part 2, we're breaking down the biggest turning points that could decide their future, the signs fans are noticing online, and what Jenny's next move could be if Sumit doesn't finally draw a line with his family. Let's start with the first turning point: the living arrangement. Living with in-laws is already complicated for most couples, but in Jenny's case, it hits deeper. She moved across the world, left her support system, and built her entire future around this marriage. Now imagine waking up every day in a house where you don't feel fully accepted, where routines aren't yours, where privacy feels limited. That kind of environment slowly chips away at a person. And viewers have seen Jenny openly admit that she misses her independence and wants her own space again. That's not a small complaint. That's a foundational need. The second turning point is emotional loyalty. For years, Sumit's storyline was about choosing Jenny over his parents. He fought to marry her. He stood against family pressure. But now the dynamic feels different. It's no longer about getting permission to marry. It's about everyday decisions. Who does he prioritize when there's tension in the house? Who does he defend when conflicts happen? Fans are paying attention to subtle body language, tone shifts, and how quickly he steps in when Jenny feels overwhelmed. Those small moments matter. Because over time, repeated small disappointments can feel bigger than one massive betrayal. The third turning point is identity. Jenny has always been portrayed as the woman who sacrificed everything for love. But sacrifice without growth becomes resentment. If she feels like she gave up her country, friends, comfort, and security only to feel controlled, that emotional equation stops making sense. That's when people start reevaluating their choices. And that reevaluation doesn't happen overnight. It builds quietly. Now let's talk about the online reaction. Social media is divided. Some fans believe Jenny knew exactly what she was signing up for and should adapt fully to Indian family life. Others argue that no one should feel trapped in their own marriage. Comment sections are filled with one repeated question: why don't they just move out? And that question might sound simple, but culturally and financially, it may not be that simple. There are expectations, responsibilities, and pride involved. Leaving the family home could create another storm. But staying could slowly destroy the relationship from the inside. That's the crossroads. And here's something else people are noticing. When couples stop posting each other as often, the rumor machine explodes. A missing photo becomes proof. A quiet week becomes evidence. But real relationships aren't social media contracts. Sometimes silence is just silence. Still, when you mix reduced online activity with an already tense storyline, the speculation writes itself. Now let's imagine the emotional reality Jenny might be facing. She wakes up, looks around, and asks herself a hard question: is this the life I fought for? That question is powerful. Because when someone finally allows themselves to ask it honestly, the answer can change everything. If the answer is no, then the next question becomes, what am I willing to do about it? And that's where things could shift dramatically. Because Jenny has shown before that she's capable of making bold decisions. She moved continents. She endured public criticism. She waited through lies and family rejection. If she decides something isn't healthy anymore, she's not the type to quietly accept it forever. On the other side, Sumit is likely facing his own internal conflict. He loves his wife. But he also loves his parents. In many cultures, especially in traditional households, walking away from family expectations is not just emotional, it's social. It's identity shifting. So if he feels pulled in two directions, he may be avoiding confrontation altogether. And avoidance, in a marriage, is gasoline on tension. Here's the reality that makes this chapter so intense. They already overcame the will they marry storyline. They already survived the biggest public obstacles. So now the threat isn't dramatic headlines. It's slow emotional distance. And slow distance can be more dangerous than explosive fights because it feels less urgent until it's too late. Let's address the divorce rumor head-on in this context. Could they divorce someday? Of course. Any couple could. But as of now, what's actually visible is strain, not confirmed separation. That distinction matters. Because strain can lead to growth if both people actively work on it. But strain can also